Okay, in this video we're going to fill out our flight plan form portion of our navigation log. Now this step is less essential than it was in the past, where you had to hand deliver or fax a flight plan form to a flight service specialist. Now obviously with the internet and apps and things like that we can do this electronically, but it's still good to fill out this flight plan form. If you choose to file the flight plan over the phone, you can still do that, and by having this form filled out you know exactly what sequence to provide the information in, and it will also make your electronic flight plan filing a little bit easier because all the information will be right in front of you as well. So I would suggest that you continue to fill out the flight plan form, so you have basically one location for all of this information. So it's fairly simple to fill out. This flight plan form is in the FAA domestic format. There is another format called the ICAO format, which is more of a concern for IFR aircraft at this time. In the future, VFR flight plans may also switch to that ICAO format, but that has yet to be the case. So right now we'll use the fairly simple FAA format. So the first box we're going to fill out is the type of flight. Obviously we're going to be a VFR flight rather than an IFR flight. A DVFR, that is a defense VFR flight plan, so that would be required for essentially crossing the international border, but we're certainly not going to do that, so we're going to stay VFR. The aircraft identification is in box 2. Now if you're flying a UND aircraft with the call sign SU, to file that you would have to put the letters N, D, U, and then the last two numbers of the tail number. So if we were in let's say 532 November Delta, then you would put NDU 32. So that NDU translates to SU 32. If you were to file the tail number, if you filed November 532 November Delta, then you would not be able to use the call sign SU to activate your VFR flight plan. So file this. If you're using UND aircraft, the SU call sign file is NDU and then the last two numbers of the tail number. Box number 3 is the type of aircraft and special avionics equipment on board. So our type of aircraft, the Piper Archer, the code for that is a P-28A. That is pretty much any version of the Piper Cherokee, which Piper Archer is a version of Piper Cherokee. And then we're going to put a / and indicate the type of avionics equipment we have on board, and that's going to be Golf for GPS. So we have GPS equipped aircraft, so we are a P-28A / Golf. If it was a Cessna Skyhawk, it would be a C-172 / Golf. There are various other numbers for avionics equipment which you can certainly research. If you do not have GPS, perhaps you only have DOR, maybe you have DME, there's equipment codes that are associated with that. But for our aircraft here at UND, we will always be /Golf. Next box is the true airspeed. So if we remember, our true airspeed that we decided we were going to use was 112 knots. Our departure point is the Brainerd Airport, so we're going to put that in the ICAO format. The departure time, the proposed departure time in Zulu, when we say, let's say 1500 Zulu, so today, now that we're in daylight savings time, that would be about 10 a.m. local time. The actual departure time, we're not going to fill that in because obviously we have not actually departed yet, so that would be something the flight service specialist would input once you contact them to activate your VFR flight plan. Box number 7 is our cruising altitude. So again, if you remember, our cruising altitude we decided was 4,500, so we're going to put 045 to represent 4,500 feet. Route of flight is direct. So if you want, you could draw a symbol for direct, or you could just leave it blank, or you could write the word direct, depending on how you file this. If you file this electronically, depending on what application or what website you use, they may have different instructions for how you file that route there. Destination, of course, is Grand Forks. Our estimated time en route. So if we go back to our navigation log, we can add all of our times up on our navigation log here between all of our checkpoints. So we've got 1.6, which is the time here, plus 2.6, plus 3.7. Perhaps an easier way to do this rather than adding these up is we've already done that down in the fuel portion. We said that it was 1.3 hours of flight time. So 1.3 hours of flight time would be 1 hour and 18 minutes. So in our flight plan form, I would put 1 hour. I would not put 18 minutes. I would perhaps give myself a little bit of extra time, maybe 1 hour and 30 minutes, not much more than that. So the reason I'm doing that is because that gives us a little bit of extra time to close our flight plan once we're on the ground in Grand Forks. Or you can also close your flight plan before you arrive as well, but it's kind of up to you how you do that. Keep in mind that if you fail to close your VFR flight plan within 30 minutes after your scheduled arrival time, then search and rescue procedures will begin to try to locate you, because at that point it's presumed that you have crashed the aircraft prior to your arrival. So that's why I give myself just a few more minutes there on that flight plan form, is just to give me a little extra time to make that contact and close that VFR flight plan. Box number 11 is remarks. You can put whatever you want in there, but there's not a whole lot that's of real interest along this particular flight. Some people like to put the tail number in there, so the full tail number, November 532 November Delta. You can certainly do that if you wish, but it's not essential. So next box is the fuel on board in hours and minutes. So that's essentially our endurance. So if we were to say that we have 48 gallons of fuel on board the aircraft, we could determine, based on our cruise fuel burn rate of 9.5 gallons per hour, we could use our E6B, set it to 9.5, and we said we had 48 gallons on board, so we could look for the number 48. 48 is right here, and that looks to be about 5 hours of fuel underneath that 48. So for fuel on board, we can put 5 hours, and again that assumes that we have full fuel in the aircraft. So if you have less fuel than that, then you would obviously need to calculate the endurance based on the actual fuel load in the aircraft. Number 13 is alternate airports. You're going to leave that blank for VFR flight. That's only for IFR flight. Box number 14 is the name of the pilot, so the pilot in command. And then you can, for address, you can just say that it's on file with UND. That's acceptable to put that. Telephone number for UND cross country, it's good to put the SOS phone number in there. You can also put your personal phone number as well. And then the aircraft home base, of course, our aircraft are based in Grand Forks. Number of people aboard the aircraft, let's say it's student and an instructor, so we'll say there's 2 people on the aircraft. And the color of the aircraft, of course, our Piper Archers are white with green trim. Okay, so now we've got our flight plan form all filled out and ready to go, so we can file this either over the phone with flight service, or electronically on the internet, or using an app such as ForFlight. All those are ways that we can file this VFR flight plan.